Do you get envious of other engineers' studios? And the simple answer, I mean, is yeah. I I look at other people's studios, and I could have all this equipment around me, and there's still pieces of equipment that I want. There's like, for instance, a prime example is the a Manly Massive Passive. Now, I'd love a Manly Massive Passive. Do I need one? No, because I've got a bars, I've got a golly, I've got a PQ, I've got all these different EQs. Having a Manly Massive Passive, it's just another EQ to add to the list of EQs. If someone was giving me one, yeah, I'd have it all day long. I'd just put it, and have it, and just to use every now and then. But really, I don't. The problem is I don't need these more than like three EQs. That's plenty. Three really really top notch EQs. I don't need a fourth. I don't need a fifth. But I don't get me wrong. I want these. I just can't justify buying them because it's totally pointless. I'd have racks all the way up here. It gets to a point where at the moment I've got the perfect amount of rack space. It's like I've got a guy who's on my Facebook, and he's got the Audio Tales 1951 EQ. And I'm getting mine in September. Mine arrives. It's just currently being built. But every time he posts about it for the last year and a half, I always look at it and go, oh yeah, I'd love one of them. Yeah. And I see it, and I'm very, very envious of this EQ. So much so that I bought one myself. But I still will always look at other people's studios and be very envious of their equipment. And it's not because the problem I've got is I could buy any piece of equipment because I run a business, and a successful business. I can warrant buying whatever piece of equipment benefits the business, and because the business is buying it, it's not me that has to go personally buy stuff. So it's very different to someone who's personally going out and buying things. But I still, I can't have too much in a chain, because then it starts to have a negative effect. If I had a Manly Massive Passive in here, another two EQs, I had a GML in here as well, it would get to the point of that it would have a negative effect, and it really would have that negative effect. So yeah, I mean, you'll always be envious of other people's studio. I think that's very natural. It's whether you're envious to the point of that you start commenting on people's stuff, going, or saying all this, that's just stupid. There's being envious, and then there's being jealous. Envy is very different to jealousy. Jealousy's a nasty trait. But envy is I can look at so many different studios and go, yeah, I'd love that studio. And people might look at my studio and think, oh yeah, I'd love that studio, and be envious of this sort of studio. And trust me, you still look at every other studio. I look at people with kind of lesser studios than what I've got, and I'm envious of them. I don't think you ever, when you love all this sort of equipment, like I love every piece of equipment that I own, I don't think you'll ever look at someone else's studio and just be a little bit envious of, oh yeah, I'd love one of them. I look at things like, I look at relatively cheap pieces of equipment that are like £1,000, and I'm envious of those because I have something that's £6,000 to £8,000 that does the same thing. It still doesn't mean that I don't want that kind of cheaper one, but I just can't warrant having it, because otherwise I just have mountains of equipment. So I mean, that's where my envy comes from, the fact that I can't physically have all these pieces of equipment, because it would just get ridiculous. I'd have cupboards full of stuff, and I'd have racks all the way around me. It gets to a point where you have to be very specific in what you buy, because otherwise it has a negative effect. So yeah, do I still get envious of other people's studios? Yeah, 100%. There's studios that are like recording studios, for instance. I don't even do recording, but I'm very, very envious of some of the tracking chains that people have, like preamps and stuff, and mic lockers. I'm well envious of all that. I'd love to have all of that stuff. I just can't warrant buying it because I don't do that. So yeah. I guess that answers your question on, yeah, I do still get very envious. You can tell by the tone of this this answer, I guess.